The great hall of the Galactic Council was filled with light from the twin suns of ZerathPrime. The walls were made of crystal plates that glowed faint blue. Long banners of many civilizations hung from the high ceiling. Each banner told the story of a world that had joined the Council in the past 1,000 years. At the center of the hall was a circular table that could seat 50 leaders from 50 different worlds. Every seat was taken. In the middle stood the high podium where Chancellor Virel of the Yasari spoke with a calm voice. His words were translated instantly into dozens of languages through the small devices on every seat. Representatives of the Council, he began. Today we vote on the matter of the human union. It has been brought to our attention that their rapid military growth and independent research pose a danger to the balance of peace. Some representatives nodded. Others remained still. At the far end of the table, Ambassador Ryan of Earth sat quietly. His dark eyes moved from one alien face to another. He had been Earth's voice in the Council for over 15 years, and he had seen many disputes, but the way the Chancellor spoke today felt different. It was not a discussion. It was a sentence already decided. Ambassador Threk of the Drevos Alliance raised his voice. The humans have spread to 32 star systems in less than a century. Their technology grows faster than any of our own. If we do not act now, they will dominate every trade route and military sector. A representative from the gentle Venari tried to defend humanity. They have also been the first to send aid whenever there is famine or disaster. They have defended the border worlds from pirates when the Council's fleets were too slow. Are we to punish them for their strength and their kindness? The hall filled with murmurs. Some agreed, others argued. The Chancellor raised his hand for silence. We have heard both sides. Now, the vote will begin. Ryan leaned forward. Before you vote, I will speak for my people. His voice was calm but carried through the hall. When the Sarn Hive attacked your colonies, we sent fleets without hesitation. When the Rift Plague spread, our doctors worked side by side with yours. We have shared our resources, our science, and our lives. If you now call us a threat, you should ask yourselves what you fear more, our power or our independence. For a moment the room was silent. Then the voting began. One by one, small lights above each seat turned green for support, red for opposition. Ryan's eyes followed the lights. A few seats glowed green. Most turned red. By the time the last vote was cast, the result was clear. Chancellor Virel's voice was without emotion. By the will of the Council, the human union is hereby placed under trade and travel restriction. No member state shall provide them with resources, technology, or military aid. This decision is final. Ryan stood slowly. You speak of peace, but you have chosen fear. Remember this moment. One day, the stars will remember it too. He turned and left the hall without looking back. The news spread quickly. On human colonies across the galaxy, screens flashed the Council's decree. Ships carrying food and medicine were turned away from human ports. Trade stations that had once welcomed human merchants now refused to let them dock. In the outer colonies, people began to ration food and power. Factories slowed as raw materials ran out. On Mars Prime, the seat of the human union, the ruling assembly gathered. Admiral Kale, a veteran of the border wars, stood beside Ryan as the ambassador gave his report. The assembly hall was filled with officers, scientists, and leaders from the colonies. They did not listen, Ryan said simply. The vote was against us from the start. We have been cut off. Murmurs rose from the crowd. Some shouted in anger, others in disbelief. Admiral Kale's voice cut through the noise. Then we will stand alone. We have done it before. We will do it again. A young scientist named Mara spoke from the side. Standing alone is not enough. If we wait, our colonies will starve. We must move our fleets and people to a place beyond the Council's reach. There was silence as her words sank in. Ryan spoke slowly. "You mean leaving Council space entirely? That would mean abandoning our current trade routes, our stations, even some of our planets." Mara met his gaze. "If we stay, we will be broken piece by piece. If we go, we may survive." Admiral Kale looked around the hall. "I will not see our people beg for scraps. If the Council thinks they can cage us, they are wrong. We will find a place where their laws cannot reach. We will take every ship, every worker, every child who wishes to live free. We will not vanish. We will build." The room filled with a determined energy. Plans began forming within hours. Messages were sent to every colony. Ships were prepared for long journeys into unknown sectors. It would be dangerous. It would be costly. But the decision was made. In the days that followed, fleets of human ships began to gather in the shadow of Mars Prime. Civilian transports carried families and supplies. Warships formed protective lines around them. From the outer systems, cargo. Freighters brought whatever resources could be gathered before the blockade tightened. The Council watched through their distant sensors, confident that humanity's gamble would fail. But among the humans, a new spirit was rising. The betrayal had cut deep, but it had also given them a single purpose: to survive without those who had turned against them. And in the silent void between the stars, that purpose began to take shape. Humanity was leaving, and they were not planning to come back the same. The space above Mars Prime had never seen so many ships gathered in one place. From small mining freighters to massive war carriers, the fleet stretched across the black sky like a wall of steel and light. Civilian transports formed the heart of the convoy, their hulls painted with the colors of hundreds of colonies. Warships surrounded them, their weapons armed and shields ready. In the command center of the flagship Resolute, Admiral Kale stood before the wide glass panel that looked out over the fleet. His hands rested behind his back. He had led fleets into battle before, but this was different. They were not marching toward an enemy. They were leaving everything they had built inside Council space. Mara, the young scientist whose idea had started this, joined him at the glass. "The last supply ships have arrived from the outer colonies. We can begin the jump sequence in 6 hours." Kale nodded. "And the Council?" "They have increased their patrols," Mara replied. "But they are keeping their distance. Maybe they think we will fall apart before we even leave." "They do not understand us," Kale said. "They think we need their systems to survive. They will learn otherwise." Across the fleet, crews worked day and night. Engines were tested and recalibrated. Hulls were reinforced with whatever materials could be found. The silent exodus, as the people had begun calling it, was not a single journey, but a plan to vanish from the Council's maps entirely. Families packed their belongings into small storage cases. Children pressed their faces against viewports, watching Mars Prime shrink in the distance as ships drifted into formation. Farmers loaded crates of seeds and preserved food into cargo bays. Engineers carried blueprints for machines that had never been tested outside laboratories. Ambassador Rian moved from ship to ship, speaking to the people. "This is not an escape," he told them. "This is a beginning. They tried to cut us off, but they have only made us stronger. Where we are going, no one will tell us what we can build or how far we can reach." The destination was known only to a small circle of leaders. Beyond the Council's borders lay the Black Frontier, a vast and dangerous region filled with unstable wormholes, drifting asteroid fields, and systems no explorer had fully charted. The Council considered it unfit for settlement. That was exactly why the humans had chosen it. When the 6-hour mark came, the signal was sent. One by one, the ship's engines roared to life. Bright trails of energy flared against the darkness. Kyle's voice echoed through the fleet. "All ships, Initiate long jump sequence. Keep formation. The future is ahead of us, not behind. The jump lasted only minutes. But when the stars settled into new positions, the view was unlike anything most had ever seen. Giant clouds of violet gas drifted between shattered moons. Blue light pulsed from a nearby pulsar, painting the fleet. In shifting colors, asteroids spun lazily, some large enough to hold cities on their surfaces. They began the search for a home. Scouts flew ahead, mapping planets and moons. Some worlds were barren rock, others frozen wastelands. A few held promise. Atmospheres close to breathable, oceans that glimmered with strange life, mountains rich in minerals. Life in the fleet was tense but filled with determination. Without Council supply lines, every resource mattered. Crews repaired damaged systems with salvaged parts. Farmers set up hydroponic bays inside the larger ships. Scientists tested new shield generators built to survive the unpredictable storms of the Black Frontier. Days turned into weeks. The people adapted. Children studied in makeshift classrooms. Traders began bartering goods between ships. In the evenings, lights from hundreds of vessels formed patterns in the void, as if the fleet itself was a floating city. The Council did not remain silent forever. On the 24th day of the journey, long-range sensors detected approaching vessels. Kale studied the readings in the Resolute's war room. 4 Council patrol ships. They are not large enough to challenge the fleet, but they can track us. Ryan spoke firmly. If they send our position back to the Council, they will send more. Kale turned to his officers. We cannot allow that. The fleet's warships moved with quiet precision. Without firing a single shot, they surrounded the patrol vessels and blocked all outgoing transmissions. A brief exchange of signals followed. The Council patrols, realizing they were outnumbered, turned away and vanished into the black. Mara watched the retreat from the science deck. They will be back with more, she said. Kale nodded. Let them come. Every time they push us, we will push farther. On the 42nd day, scouts found a system unlike any they had seen before. Its sun was a deep red giant, and 3 habitable moons circled a gas giant with swirling silver clouds. The moons had breathable air, mild temperatures, and rich soil. Orbiting asteroids were filled with rare metals. Kale gathered the fleet's leaders in the Resolute's strategy chamber. This is it, he said, a place far from Council reach. Enough worlds for our people to live and grow. Enough resources to build again. Ryan looked at the holographic display of the moons. We can make this a home, not just for now, but for generations. The decision was made. Colony ships descended toward the moons. Engineers began laying the first foundation, blocks for settlements. Farmers planted seeds in the alien soil. Soldiers set up defense grids and watch stations in orbit. At night, under the twin moons of the first colony world, Admiral Kale stood beside Ryan. The air was cool, carrying scents of plants no human had ever named. Lights from the settlement. Below flickered as people built their new lives. They thought we would fade, Kale said. Instead, we have only grown stronger. Ryan looked up at the stars. And soon they will see just how far we can go. The silent exodus had ended, but the true journey, the one that would change the fate of the galaxy, had only begun. The 3 moons of the red giant system soon echoed with the sounds of human life. Engines rumbled as construction vehicles moved across the ground. The air was filled with the thud of steel beams, the hiss of welding torches, and the hum of generators. Ships in orbit ferried supplies between worlds, while watch stations monitored the dark beyond. The moons were given simple names. The first, Aris, became the main settlement and command center. The second, Lumen, was rich with minerals and would serve as the industrial heart. The third, Verdant, was covered in forests and became the center for farming and research. Admiral Kale moved between the worlds, inspecting progress. On Aris, he stood on the half-built wall of a defense tower, looking across the valley where shelters were rising. Every wall we build, every station we set, makes us harder to find, he told the engineers. Mara spent her days on Verdant, working with scientists to test the alien soil. It is better than I hoped, she told her team. The plants grow fast. We can produce food for the whole fleet within a year. Ambassador Ryan divided his time between the moons and the ships that still floated in orbit. He was no longer only a diplomat. He became a bridge between the people scattered across this new home. We are more than survivors, he told a crowd on Lumen. We are builders. The Council thought they could weaken us. Instead, they forced us to reach higher. The Black Frontier lived up to its reputation. Strange storms appeared without warning, sweeping across space with bursts of radiation that could strip a ship's shields in minutes. Asteroid clusters drifted unpredictably, some moving faster than any natural body should. Unmapped wormholes opened and closed like living things, leading to places unknown. Human engineers rose to the challenge. They built shield arrays that adapted instantly to different types of energy. They designed navigation systems that predicted asteroid movements days in advance. Their ships began to look different from the old Council designs. Sharper angles, heavier armor, and engines that glowed with a deep blue light. One day, a mining crew on Lumen uncovered a crystal unlike anything recorded in the Council's archives. It pulsed faintly, as if alive. When placed near power sources, it amplified energy flow far beyond normal limits. Mara examined it in her lab and realized its potential. This could power an entire city with a single shard, she said. Word of the discovery spread quickly. The moons became not just a safe haven, but a place of innovation. Factories on Lumen began producing advanced reactors based on the crystal's properties. The fleet's ships were retrofitted with new engines, faster and stronger than before. Despite their progress, the humans knew the Council would not ignore them forever. Patrols had been spotted near the outer edge of the Black Frontier. Sometimes a faint signal would appear on the sensors, too far to identify, but too deliberate to be random. Admiral Kyle called a meeting in Aris's new command center. We must assume they are watching, he told his officers. If the Council sends a fleet, they will come prepared. We need to be ready for them. The plan was simple but bold. Outer sensor arrays would be placed far beyond the moons, hidden inside drifting asteroids. Any approach would be detected days in advance. Defense platforms would be built in high orbit, each armed with weapons powered by the newly discovered crystals. And the fleet would train constantly, not for survival but for dominance. Ryan supported the military preparations, but reminded the leaders of a larger goal. If the Council comes, they will not only try to crush us, they will try to scare others who look to us for hope. We must be more than warriors. We must be an example. The example soon began to take shape. Small groups from other species started arriving in the system. Traders, explorers, and even refugees who had heard rumors of humanity's survival. The Council's laws did not reach the Black Frontier, and here, everyone was welcome. On Verdant, a group of Venari farmers taught humans how to cultivate fast-growing alien grains. On Lumen, Drevos engineers worked alongside human builders to create stronger mining drills. In the space above Aris, mixed crews repaired ships using techniques no single species had mastered alone. Kale allowed the newcomers to settle, but he was careful. Trust is earned, he told his officers. We will protect them, but we will not forget why we came here. Months passed, and the moons transformed. From space, the once barren surfaces now shone with the lights of cities. Trade ships from the farthest corners of the frontier began to stop by. Human technology was no longer simply surviving. It was setting a new standard. One night, as Kyle stood in the watchtower on Ares, Mara joined him. "Do you ever think about the day we left?" she asked. "Every day," Kyle said. "It reminds me of why we cannot stop." "They will come," she said quietly. "Yes," Kale agreed. "And when they do, they will see a people they can no longer control." In the deep black beyond the sensor range, a small council scout ship watched from the shadows. Its captain recorded every detail: the ships, the cities, the movement of patrols. The report it would send back to the council would speak of a truth the galaxy had not yet accepted. Humanity had not been broken by exile. The Black Frontier had become their forge. And what was being forged there was not simply survival. It was power, the kind that could change the fate of the galaxy. The moons of the Black Frontier were alive with progress, but beyond their borders the galaxy was stirring. Stories of humanity's survival had spread far past the quiet whispers of traitors. Entire worlds now spoke openly of what the humans had done. They had been cut off, exiled, and left to fade, yet they had returned stronger, freer, and more united than before. On the council worlds, this news caused unrest. In the city markets of the Drevos Alliance, workers began asking why they still obeyed council taxes that left their people hungry. On a frozen mining moon of the Venari, crews stopped work and demanded the right to keep part of their harvest for themselves. In the quiet halls of smaller colonies, leaders held secret meetings, wondering if they too could break free. One message made it past the council's tight surveillance. It was sent through a network of hidden relays, eventually reaching Aris. Admiral Kale read it in the command center, his brow furrowed. "They are asking for help," he said to Ryan, "a colony on the edge of council space. Their leaders have been arrested for speaking against the council. Their people are under guard." Mara leaned over the console. "If we answer, it will not be like turning away a traitor or a refugee. This will be open defiance." Rian met Kale's eyes. "And if we ignore it, the council will think their fear is enough to keep us quiet." Kale stood for a moment in silence, then gave the order. "Send a message. Tell them we are coming." The fleet prepared quickly, not the entire force, only a small group of warships and transports, enough to move fast but strong enough to break through if needed. Crews worked without rest, loading supplies, medical kits, and defensive equipment. The plan was simple: arrive without warning, secure the colony, and take their leaders and families to safety. If the council fleet arrived, fight long enough to escape. When the ships departed, the people of Aris watched from the valleys and towers. Many had been part of the silent exodus. They knew this mission was more than rescue. It was the first step toward something larger. The journey took 3 days through unstable corridors of space. The Black Frontier ended in a region where the stars thinned and the cold emptiness seemed to stretch forever. Then, the colony appeared. A small planet with 2 settlements on its surface, surrounded by silver clouds. From orbit, the human fleet could see council patrol craft circling the settlements. Kale opened a channel to the planet. "This is Admiral Kale of the Human Union. We are here to offer aid to the people of this colony. Council forces, stand down." There was no reply from the patrol craft. Instead, they began to move into attack formation. Kyle's voice hardened. "All ships, defensive positions. Hold fire until they strike first." The first shot came from the council. A pulse of energy streaked toward the lead human ship, splashing harmlessly against its new adaptive shields. Kyle gave the order, and the human fleet responded with precision. Their weapons, powered by the rare crystals from Lumen, cut through the enemy's shields like water through paper. Within minutes, the patrol craft were disabled, drifting harmlessly in orbit. Transports descended to the surface. Mara led the medical teams, moving through the streets of the colony. The people were thin, their faces marked by exhaustion. Many could not believe the humans had truly come. One old miner grasped Mara's hand. We heard they cast you out, he said. We thought you were gone. Mara smiled faintly. They tried. Now we are here. Ryan met with the surviving local leaders in the main hall of the settlement. You can come with us, he told them, or we can leave you with enough defenses to keep the council away until you decide. One leader shook her head. If we stay, they will return. We will come with you. But you must promise this, that you will not stop with us. There are others who need you. By the time the human fleet left the system, it carried not just the rescued leaders, but hundreds of civilians. Behind them, the colony's council garrison was gone, its control broken. The news of the liberation spread faster than any blockade could contain. On worlds far from the Black Frontier, people began flying banners with the colors of the human union. Small uprisings broke out in mining stations and trade hubs. The council dismissed them as minor disturbances, but the truth was clear to those who paid attention. The galaxy's order was beginning to shift. Back on Eris, the rescued families stepped onto new soil under the watch of human soldiers. Children ran across the open fields, tasting freedom for the first time in years. Kyle stood with Ryan and Mara, watching the scene. This was only one colony, Kyle said, but the effect will be far greater. Ryan nodded. Every act of resistance sends a message. The council believes power is control. We will show them it is something else. Mara added, we should prepare. The council will not ignore this. They will come sooner now. Kale's eyes were fixed on the horizon. Let them come. We have given the galaxy a choice, and they are beginning to choose. Far from the Black Frontier, in the grand chambers of the council, Chancellor Virel listened to the report from the patrol captain who had survived the encounter. His voice was tight with concern. They have weapons beyond our current defenses. Their ships adapt faster than we can target them, and their people fight with a unity I have not seen in any other race. The chamber fell silent. Some council members called for immediate war, others urged caution. But all understood one thing. The humans were no longer a problem to contain. They were a force that could inspire rebellion across the galaxy. The sparks had been lit. And, in the dark spaces between the stars, the fire was beginning to grow. The rescue of the border colony had done more than free a few hundred people. It had sent a message the council could not ignore. Trade stations whispered of the human union's growing fleet. On distant worlds, workers painted the unions, crest on walls and cargo crates. The council tightened its patrols, but the unrest kept spreading. In the command center of Aris, Admiral Kale stood before a large hollow map of council space. Red markers showed council-controlled worlds, and a cluster of blue lights marked the human union and its allies in the Black Frontier. A single marker pulsed in yellow near the edge of council territory. This is our target, Kale said. A mining world named Teros. It supplies rare metals to half the council's shipyards. Without those metals, their fleet production slows. If we take it, we strike at the heart of their war plans. Ryan stepped forward. If we move on a major council asset, there will be no doubt. They will know we are not just defending ourselves. This will be war. Kale's voice was steady. It already is. They started it when they tried to starve us. Now we show them the cost. The fleet assembled quietly. 30 warships, armed with crystal-powered weapons, and a dozen transports, carrying ground forces. The plan was to jump into the system without warning, disable the planetary defenses, and hold the world long enough to evacuate workers who wished to leave. Mara worked with the engineering crews until the last moment, fitting each ship with new adaptive shield arrays. These will learn the enemy's weapons after the first few hits, she explained to Kale. Every second they fire at us, their weapons will become less effective. The jump to Teros was precise and sudden. One moment, the humans were hidden in the shifting lanes of the Black Frontier. The next, they emerged above a dusty, red world surrounded by a ring of orbital platforms. The council garrison was caught off guard. Patrol ships scrambled from their docks, but the human fleet moved with practiced coordination. Blue energy beams cut through the orbital platform's shields, disabling their guns in minutes. On the surface, the mining settlements were silent at first. Then, as human dropships descended, messages began flooding in from the workers. Some were frightened, fearing a change of one master for another. Others openly cheered, sending signals of welcome. Kyle's ground forces landed near the largest settlement. Captain Doran, leading the landing party, approached the council security post. "Lay down your weapons," he called through the speakers. "We are not here to harm civilians. Your garrison is outmatched. Stand down and you will live." When council soldiers hesitated, above them the sky flashed with the light of the space battle, and the distant thunder of human artillery shook the ground. The security post surrendered without a fight. Inside the main mining hub, Ryan met with the local overseers. "We are here to give you a choice," he said. "You may remain under the council's control, or you may join us. We will not force you." One overseer, an older Dravos with silver skin, spoke for the group. "The council takes our ore and leaves us with scraps. We work until our bodies break. If you will give us fair trade, we will stand with you." Ryan nodded. "Then gather your people. We will protect you." In orbit, the last council patrol ship tried to break free, aiming to send a distress call. Kyle's flagship Resolute moved to intercept. The patrol ship fired a desperate barrage, but the new shields absorbed the blows. A single shot from the Resolute's main cannon disabled its engines. With the skies secured, human transports began loading workers who wished to leave. Others stayed behind, now under the protection of a small Union garrison. Mining operations continued. But now the ore would be shipped to the Black Frontier, strengthening the Union instead of the Council. The victory was swift and decisive. Within a single day, Taros was no longer a Council stronghold. But the real shock came weeks later when news spread across the galaxy. The human Union had not just defended itself, it had taken one of the Council's vital worlds. Other oppressed colonies took notice. On a water moon in the Venari system, workers refused to load Council supply ships. In the Dravos Alliance, 2 border stations declared themselves independent. Kale and Rion stood on the balcony of the command center, watching new ships being built in Aris's orbital yards. "We cannot stop now," Kale said. "Every move we make shows the galaxy that the Council can be challenged." Ryan agreed. "But each victory also brings them closer. They will come in force, and when they do, they will not hold back." Mara joined them, her hands smudged with grease from the shipyards. "Then we make sure we are ready. The crystals are being refined faster now. Soon every ship will have weapons they cannot match." In the council chamber, Chancellor Virel faced angry representatives. "Taros was taken in less than a day," one shouted. "Our fleets are being embarrassed. Our people are asking why we cannot stop them." Virel's voice was cold. "We will stop them. We are assembling a strike fleet larger than anything they have faced. The humans believe they can play at war. Soon they will learn the price." Back in the Black Frontier, Kale received reports from scouts. Large council fleets were on the move. The battle for Taros had been a turning point, but it had also ensured that the next fight would be on a far greater scale. Kale looked at the stars on the holomap. "They will come," he said quietly. "And when they do, they will see that humanity does not bow." The Council had waited too long. The loss of Taros and the uprisings in border colonies were proof that humanity had grown beyond what they could control. On the capital world of ZerathPrime, Chancellor Virel addressed the full assembly. "We underestimated the humans," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They have not only survived exile, they have taken our worlds and inspired rebellion. The time for caution is over. We will strike." Massive fleets were called into service. Ships from every corner of the Council worlds were gathered, hundreds in total. They were armed with the latest weapons, including energy cannons designed to pierce adaptive shields and warheads capable of leveling entire cities. The Council's hope was that overwhelming force would crush humanity before it could strike again. Admiral Kale learned of the incoming Council fleets through scouts. The reports were troubling. More than 300 warships were advancing, supported by dozens of orbital bombardment platforms. The Black Frontier had kept humanity safe until now, but the Council had found the path. Kale called a meeting in the command center of Eris. "They are coming in force," he said. "We cannot hope to defeat them head-on, but we can make sure they do not succeed in destroying our people." Ryan stood beside him. "We have faced worse odds before. The humans are united, our technology is new and powerful, and our people are ready. We can turn this attack to our advantage." Mara added, "The crystal-powered shields and weapons will make their cannons almost useless, and we can use the Black Frontier itself to our advantage. Its storms and asteroid fields are unpredictable." Kale nodded. "Then we prepare. Every ship, every moon, every system in our control will be ready. The Council believes in their strength. They will learn that we do too." The first clash came near the edge of the Black Frontier. Council fleets advanced in tight formation, confident that their numbers and firepower would overwhelm the humans. Scouts and sensor arrays, hidden inside drifting asteroids, alerted the Union fleets to every move. Kyle's ships moved like a shadow, using asteroid fields as cover. The Council was forced to fire through unpredictable hazards. One by one, their ships were disabled as the adaptive shields absorbed their energy and returned it in pulses that damaged their engines. Above Eris, the sky lit up with bursts of energy. Humans had learned to fight not only with weapons, but with strategy. Ships split, regrouped, and struck from unexpected angles. Every attack by the Council revealed weaknesses that humans were ready to exploit. On the moons, defensive platforms powered by crystal energy pulsed with light. When Council warheads approached, shields flared, absorbing the explosions and converting the energy into reinforcement for other platforms. On Verdant, Mara watched the displays, her mind calculating improvements. "We are holding them back," she told Kale, "but they will adapt. We must strike before they find another way to attack." Kale's answer was clear. "Then we make the first move. Take the fight to them." The human fleet, small but deadly, moved to intercept Council supply convoys near a nearby star system. Using faster engines and improved targeting, they disabled supply ships before the Council could reinforce the front lines. Mara's crystal-powered. Cannons were precise, cutting through shields that had been considered unbreakable. Council commanders were stunned. No race had ever used technology in such an adaptive way. They had expected the humans to fight defensively, but instead, humanity was striking where it hurt most, cutting supplies, breaking formations, and forcing them into chaos. But the Council had a secret weapon, one that had not been revealed to the galaxy. Deep within their central fleet, engineers carried a massive device known as the Starbreaker. It was designed to collapse stars and destabilize entire sectors, a weapon of last resort meant to end wars before they began. When the humans intercepted part of the fleet, the Council activated the Starbreaker. A beam of concentrated energy shot into the heart of the Black Frontier. Kale's sensors detected the anomaly immediately. "It's a doomsday device," he shouted. "Prepare for extreme fallout." Ryan and Mara worked quickly to calculate the safest paths for the fleet. "We cannot stop it directly," Mara said, "but we can use the storms and gravitational shifts in this region to divert its energy." Kyle gave the order to execute the maneuvers. Every ship accelerated, dodged, and shifted formation as the Starbreaker's energy tore through space. The energy beam hit 3 Council fleets before it destabilized, causing massive explosions that shredded ships and broke the coherence of their attack. When the dust settled, the humans were battered, but intact. Many Council ships were destroyed, and entire systems near the Black Frontier were destabilized. Trade routes collapsed, and some planets lost communication entirely. Kyle and Rion stood in the command center of Eris, surveying the aftermath. "The Council wanted to destroy us," Kale said. "Instead, they destroyed themselves in part. Their own weapon has cost them fleets and worlds." Ryan nodded. "This will send shockwaves across the galaxy. Others will see what happens when you try to strike humanity with fear. We have survived the impossible once again." Mara added quietly, "And now we have time to rebuild, strengthen, and prepare. The galaxy is watching, far from the Black." Frontier Council leaders were in disarray. Systems they considered stable were in chaos. Fleets had been destroyed. Worlds were lost. Chancellor Virel faced the assembly in silence. "We aimed to crush humanity," he finally said, "and yet, our own pride has cost us dearly. We must rethink our approach. The humans are no longer a threat to manage. They are a force the galaxy cannot ignore." In the moons of the Black Frontier, people celebrated quietly. The cost had been high, but the victory was undeniable. Humanity had survived the Council's largest attack. Kale looked at the stars, beyond Eris. "They will not stop coming," he said. "But we will not stop either," Ryan replied. Mara smiled. "They underestimated us. They will continue to learn the same lesson." The galaxy had been shaken. The Council had struck back, but humanity had endured. And in the shadows of the Black Frontier, a new chapter of power and unity was being forged, one that no one in the Council could control. The Black Frontier had never been quieter. After the Council's massive attack, the moons of Eris, Lumen, and Verdant were still recovering. Fires from orbital skirmishes had been extinguished, damaged buildings repaired, and families reunited. The people of the human union moved with purpose, rebuilding not just their homes, but their confidence. Admiral Kale stood on the observation deck of the Resolute, watching the stars beyond. The Council had struck with all their strength and had failed, but Kyle knew that the cost of betrayal had not yet ended. Every system in the galaxy that had once relied on Council support now felt the ripples of Taros and the Black Frontier. Battles. Ryan approached quietly, holding a holotable displaying reports from distant worlds. "The uprisings are growing," he said. "More colonies are refusing Council orders. Traders are joining our routes. Even some Council fleets are mutinying, refusing to fire on civilians. Humanity's survival has inspired them." Kyle nodded. "They will not all join us immediately, but the fear of punishment is weakening. The Council's control is cracking." Mara joined them, her hands covered with schematics and notes. "The crystal energy reactors have been installed on all major ships and orbital stations. We can now sustain fleets in deep space for months without resupply. We are no longer dependent on the systems the Council once controlled." Kale smiled faintly. "Independence in action. The best revenge against betrayal is survival and strength." In orbit around Verdant, the fleet gathered for a major council of their own. Leaders from newly liberated colonies, scientists, engineers, and diplomats crowded the Resolute's command hall. The air was tense, but hope flowed through the room. Ryan stood at the front, addressing the assembly. "The Council betrayed us," he said. "They cut off our trade, our resources, and our voices. They thought fear and isolation could break us. But we have survived. We have grown stronger. And now, the galaxy sees what we can achieve when we work together." Voices rose in agreement. From the far corner of the room, a young Drevos engineer called out, "We are ready to fight for freedom, not just for humans, but for anyone the Council tries to oppress." Kyle stepped forward. "Our next step is not just defense. We will continue to protect and liberate those who wish freedom. But we will also show the galaxy that betrayal has consequences. The Council cannot act against any people without fear of resistance." For months, the human union worked to strengthen its influence. Trade routes in the Black Frontier were expanded. Newly freed colonies sent representatives to the moons of Eris, Lumen, and Verdant. Scientists shared knowledge of crystal energy and adaptive shields. Artisans and builders created new cities on Verdant and Lumen. Even children learned lessons of courage, survival, and unity. Schools taught history not only of betrayal, but of resilience. The story of humanity's exile and rise became legend, a reminder that strength came not from weapons alone, but from unity, intelligence, and hope. Far away in the Council's capital, Chancellor Virel faced the harsh truth. Fleet after fleet had been lost. Resources were stretched thin. Colonies no longer obeyed orders without question. The Council could no longer act with the certainty it once had. Virel addressed the assembly. Humanity has survived. They have grown beyond our reach. The galaxy is changing. If we continue to try to dominate, we will not only lose more fleets and worlds, we will lose our place in history. We must reconsider our ways. Some council members argued for revenge. Others understood that the humans had shown a new kind of power, one built not on fear, but on determination, ingenuity, and cooperation. In the Black Frontier, Kale looked at the fleet assembled above Eris. Every ship gleamed with new energy, shields glowing softly with the crystal power that had saved them. Families waved from transports. Children ran through fields of verdant, laughing. Scientists and engineers worked on new inventions. Traders prepared routes to distant worlds that had never seen human influence before. Ryan spoke beside him. The Council betrayed us. But look around, Admiral. The betrayal has become our strength. The galaxy is watching. We are no longer the exiled. We are the example, Mara added. And it will continue. Any race, any colony that wishes to be free can join us. Together we can change the galaxy. Kale smiled, feeling the weight of everything they had endured. Then let them come, if they dare. We are ready. We have survived the impossible, and we will thrive. The Council had underestimated humanity. Its betrayal had set a chain of events that could not be undone. The galaxy had learned that one race's courage could ignite hope across hundreds of systems. And so the human union stood not only as survivors, but as pioneers. The Black Frontier was no longer a place of exile. It was a place of power, growth, and inspiration. Humanity had transformed betrayal into opportunity, fear into determination, and isolation into unity. From the moons of Eris, Lumen, and Verdant, the stars shone differently. They carried the light of a people who had been betrayed, but had refused to bow. The universe had paid a price for the Council's treachery, and the humans had gained a future no one could take away. Humanity had risen. The galaxy would never forget it.